What is up, everyone? Welcome back. StarCraft 2, Heart of the Storm in the house. Day 2 of the 2013 MLG Spring Championships. This is your Dr. Pepper pregame show. I'm Axel Toss. I'm joined by Axe Labs. Shout out to everyone in the crowd who's up early. Oh yeah, you guys are awesome. Shout out to the Europeans online. I'm sure a lot of Europeans are watching right now. I think it's getting into the afternoon, so nice to have you guys watching online. But what's going on today, Nick?
A lot of action is going on today. You know, the way these MLGs work is like kickoff Friday, championship Sunday, and in between is just the massive Saturday grind where so many players get knocked out, so many players have to play a very long day. They're playing through so many opponents.
Yep.
It's really where you kind of weed out all the players and get that select few to make it to that championship Sunday.
Of course, you know, we got the people who lost yesterday are just now playing, like actually literally right now. So it can be potentially very long days for some of those guys. You know, we could see one of those miraculous lower bracket runs where these guys are playing literally like how many matches if you lose in the first round to win the tournament? You're the math guy.
Somewhere like 15, 16.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot of matches. So we'll have to see if that can happen. But talking about yesterday, Friday was actually awesome. What were your favorite moments?
You know, I really love watching the In Control versus Illusion series. That was absolutely amazing. That game 2 where Illusion was up by about like 60 food and then In Control makes an amazing comeback. Of course, Illusion goes on to win the series. He's such a talented Terran player.
Yep.
But seeing some of these players that we remember from like 2011, the first MLGs, we saw In Control, QXC Cats, all these guys coming in, and a lot of them showed some strong games. I mean, In Control did fall Illusion, but he took a map there. And for example, Tyler, none of these old school guys.
Yeah, or Noni, I think is. Yeah, he looks like he's,
yeah.
like with Tyler, a lot of people knew him as, of course, Noni and Brood War, and then he kind of did a switcheroo back to the name Noni. A lot of people knows who he is. Having a good MLG so far. He hasn't dropped a single. Okay, he did drop a single game to Huang Sin, but took him out 2-1. Very impressive play, and of course, we had his match versus Maximus Black. I think I see Mr. Maximus Black in the audience in front of. There he is, right there. What's up, man? Of course, Maximus Black unfortunately did lose to Noni 0-2, so he's going to try to make that heroic run through the lower bracket. Also, some other cool results were a personal favorite of mine was watching Cats against Dragon. Of course, the first game we see the stylistic Cats Hatchery and his opponent's natural expansion, and it ended up working out. Cats able to take down Dragon, but unfortunately for Cats, he did lose in the next round
to Heart.
To Heart, and of course now we see that highlight of Cats, of course. Those two little spine crawlers, being a little bit offensive with those, typical Cat style, really cool to see. A lot of the root players actually playing fairly well in this tournament. We're going to have Minigun versus Kane is actually going to be one of the winners round 3 matches. I'm really excited to see how that turns out. Of course, a lot of really cool stories coming out of Friday.
One thing I'm most interested in is actually what we see in this new trend, at least among the some of the American players and also Tilly from New Zealand.
Yeah.
There's some players doing very well playing multiple races, which is pretty much unheard of in competitive RTS. I mean, there's almost no one who's ever had that success. But yesterday we saw Kawhi Rice take down Thorzane 2-0. That's one of the biggest upsets of Friday. Almost no one saw that one coming. What's even more amazing is Kawhi Rice played Terran in one of the games and Zerg in the other game, took down Thorzane with each of the races. Absolutely amazing, amazing performance here by Kawhi Rice.
Wasn't that the last match that was played? I think I saw a bunch of people huddled in the player area over there around 2 computers. Was that Thorzane?
Both those guys love going super late game. So there's some battle cruisers involved during TVT. Kawhi Rice's favorite unit there. Thorzane is going for the Ravens, but Kawhi Rice, man, his late game is insanely strong. He knows to make battle cruisers, man.
Of course, winners round 3, Kawhi Rice is going to be playing against Sage from Root, so that's going to be an awesome one as well. Again, all throughout the bracket, we're going to have awesome matches, and we're going to try to bring you as many as possible. Of course, obviously we have the main stream, but we also have a bunch of other streams going on, so nothing to miss here. Of course, we can see, we're on my screen now, we can see the brackets. Let's go through these a little bit. Hero versus Select, that's going to be fantastic. Of course, Select coming from Dota. He's like, all right, I'll play StarCraft 2 again, and I'll beat people. Of course, he has yet to drop a map. That should be an epic match in round 3. Minigun versus Kane, talked about that. Kawhi Rice versus Sage. Noni versus Sase. That's going to be a great test for Noni to see how far he can make it.
It is, and I think a lot of people were surprised that Noni took down Huang Sin. Huang Sin, a very strong contender. And you know, Noni's kind of been out of the scene for a little bit. You know, he left Team Liquid. He hasn't played in as many tournaments recently, but showing a very strong performance so far. Of course, Sase, you know, one of the best players from Sweden. He's trained in Korea for quite a long time. He's going to be a very, very tough challenge
Yeah,
for Noni.
you had to drop a map there for Sasa, taking out Succeed, the player from Root Gaming, from Sweden even. We also got Moonglade versus Sound. That's going to be on the main stage. I think that's the second match today. And moving along, we have Heart Apocalypse, which should be a great TVT.
It is. Both those players very, very talented. Of course, Heart just took out Cats. You know what's really interesting about Sound?
Yeah.
Is Golden last week took him out actually winning the Red Bull tournament. So that was a great revenge match for Sound. Golden took him out just last week in the Red Bull land. Sound saying, you know what, I've been training for the week, I figured you out, coming back and taking out his teammate 2-0 for that revenge match. And one thing that's insanely stacked about this bracket, if you scroll down just about 2 matches. All right.
Oh my God.
Look at this. Su, Yu-Gi-Oh, Hyun. In the same little group there. Those are 3 of the 4 best Zergs in this tournament. Of course, probably Jaedong being up there as well. Yu-Gi-Oh, of course, was in the Premier League in WCS Korea this season.
Yep.
Hyun, everyone knows him for the IPL 5 Club run. He's second place in a GSL Codes, I believe, 2 seasons ago. And Su, of course, one of the Kesper representatives, went through that grueling qualification tournament as well as he's been in WCS Korea Premier League in the past. Yeah. He's also, of course, won the MVP Invitational tournament.
He was like the first guy from Pro League to really make a statement for himself. He was like the first notification, and we're like, oh God, the Pro League guys are coming. And Su was the guy kind of leading the charge. He was in the front, holding his sword up high. So yeah, gosh, that's an amazing group of players there. Su versus Illusion. Illusion's been looking good. Maybe he can do it, but Su is like super good.
I mean, Illusion's capable, but
sure.
Not a single one of these Kespa guys have even dropped a single map yet. All of them have gone 4-0 so far in the first day. And what's even more impressive is they've been finding some tough opponents. I mean, Deer, he actually went up against STC in round 2, took out STC 2-0. I mean, and STC is probably one of the favorites for this tournament going into it.
Yeah.
And Deer said, no, man. I went through that Kespa qualifier. I took out Jang B. I was in a group with Bisu. All these great players. No problem.
Yeah.
And these guys are just absolutely blazing through this tournament.
QXE versus Telia going to happen. We got Xenocider versus Pult. Suppy versus DeMuslim. We were able to interview DeMuslim yesterday. He's like, I kind of want to play Suppy. I want to show him who's boss. So that should be a really fun one to watch. Of course, Huck versus State is coming up as well as Naniwa versus Cham.
Oh, if Naniwa and Huck win, they're going to match. You're matching in round of 4, and that's going to be an insane match. I know they've exchanged some words in the past. They've often vied for a title of best non-Korean Protoss in the world, back and forth. Earlier it was Huck, then a lot of people were saying Nano with his all the time he spent training in Korea.
Yep.
And if they match, that's going to be some fireworks.
That's going to
be there in that match.
They both came to play. They're both going to be ready. Of course, the stars have to align. Huck has to take out State. Naniwa has to take out Cham. Cham, one of those up-and-coming players from Mexico. Very young as well. I think he's like 15 or 16. So I feel like if Naniwa goes in that match, like not expecting much, he has to be careful. Cham, I think, is a guy who could definitely take a game off of anyone. And then State, a very interesting story. State has been having promising results lately. Of course, he got second in the Shoutcraft Invitational to Kane, and then he ended up qualifying for Home Story Cup because I think Cats couldn't go, so State took his spot. Didn't have the best results at Home Story, but getting that experience that he needs.
And that experience is so valuable. I mean, State's actually had a decent amount so far, but recently, having that very recent experience Home Story Cup just a few weeks ago is going to really help him in this big event, in the big stage MLG. There's so many people cheering you on and looking at you play. So he has a shot to upset Huck.
Yeah.
But Huck has definitely got to be the favorite. I mean, he's got 2 MLG championships under his belt. He's been playing very well lately. WCS America Premier League, he recently qualified for that as well.
Yes.
And he went 4-0 in his challenger group. And his challenger group had XY, one of the best Chinese players in it. And Huck had no problems there as well. So look for Huck to really make a big showing here. He hasn't proven himself over the last few months. He hasn't, had that big performance. He fell out of the Premier League in WCS America pretty early on. But he made his way back very convincingly. And I think he's looking to send a message here today.
Huck's a guy that definitely can make a run. Of course, looking at these guys' results, Huck taking out 2 relative no-namers, I would say. State going up against Wiedemann's early. I think that was one of the funny stories from yesterday.
There was a cannon rush there.
There's a cannon rush, but there's something you need in a cannon rush that Wiedemann's actually forgot. He forgot his forge. So he was building pylons. I didn't see the game, but he was building pylons, but he realized you couldn't build a cannon. And when you're doing a cannon rush, kind of want to be able to build cannons. So a very interesting story there from day one. State taking him out 2-0, and then State going up against Desro, taking out Desro 2-1. But Desro, another one of those guys who can try to make a run in that lower bracket. I know he probably has a lot of fans here as well. A very popular streamer. Of course, moving on down the line, again, one of the premier matches from yesterday, DeMuslim versus Sasquatch. That's one of those matches that if you missed it, you want to check out those VODs.
You really do. And I mean, a lot of people see Demotes and won that, and they're like, oh, I mean, I've been watching so much Demotes, and he's looked so amazing lately. Oh, of course he was going to win that. But that series was insanely close, a very hard-fought series. There's a lot of awesome Bailey landmines, a lot of awesome moments. It was such a tense series. I mean, everyone was going back and forth in that one. Definitely one you really want to watch. And go check out the VODs. So
I want to poll our audience a little bit. Is that okay? How about y'all shout out some players? Who are you rooting for? Huck?
Hero and Huck sound like the big ones.
Protoss, really? What about the
Protoss,
man? Jadong? Okay. A lot of people, like there's like someone who's rooting for Huck right next to someone who's rooting for Naniwal, and they're like looking at each other like, don't do that, and like rock paper scissors or something like that. Wow, a lot of diversity in the crowd as far as who to cheer for, and honestly, I don't have a favorite, but a lot of great players still in this tournament.
There are, and a lot of favorites have fallen out early. I mean, or fallen down to the lower bracket early.
Which is like that's actually a massive deal.
It is.
Falling
I
to
mean,
the lower bracket early.
We saw Coach Park lose to Bubbles in the first round. We saw Grubby, one of the huge favorites. I mean, Grubby's been playing so well.
We didn't really talk about that, did we?
No, QXC took him out in round 2, and a very impressive performance from the American Terran.
Yeah, QXC, the 2-1 over Grubby. I mean, that was one of the last matches to happen. We finished on the main stage. I went over to the player area to watch. Very intense match. Grubby, obviously, very upset about that happening. Of course, Grubby is going to be here early. He's going to be here playing, trying to make his run through the lower bracket. Definitely a guy who's capable of doing that. But huge result for QXC. After we were talking about his Home Story Cup qualifier results, where he kind of tore through the bracket and was beating everyone. Unfortunately, at Home Story, he didn't have the best results, but he definitely came here to play, of course. Before we proceed any further, I'd like to give you all an opportunity, a quick plug to our HD pass. Of course, 720p is completely free, but if you want to watch in 1080p HD, you can buy an HD pass for $9.99, and you can see everything that will be available to you. No ads, access to 1080p live stream and archives, huge selection of subscriber-only emoticons. Those are fun to play with. A custom chat badge, so you feel more powerful than everyone else in the chat, which is great. And of course, a very awesome opportunity there for you guys, $9.99. That's it, 1080p. Definitely take advantage of that. Of course, we got a bunch of streams coming your way, and non-stop StarCraft 2 action. Of course, the mainstream, twitch.tv/MLG SC2. But if you're one of those guys who has like 17 monitors, you have a command center at home, there's 5 other streams going on. Of course, twitch.tv/NASLTV, and we got 4 other community streams, MLG, SC2A, B, C, and D. We got awesome matches coming your way throughout the entire day, so if you're finding yourself bored, I don't know how that's possible, because there's going to be awesome matches all day long. Of course, first matches of the day on the mainstream. We're going to have Stats versus Deer, 2 of those guys who have yet to drop a map. The guys from Pro League, they got in that qualifier, and now they're facing off against each other in winners round 3. That's going to be electric. That's going to be very exciting. Of course, followed by Moonglade versus Sound from StarTale. Moonglade, the guy who made the crazy run through WCS America, getting to the round of 8. And of course, a lot of awesome matches coming your way. So I'm excited for today, Nick.
It's going to be absolutely amazing. Stats versus Deer to start the night off is just like, how can you fathom that? This is the match you normally have to stay up to like 4 a.m. to watch, right? Watch it over in the Koreans. These guys are here now. They're going to put forth their best game because no one wants to drop down that loser bracket this early on in the tournament.
All right, I think the players are nearly ready. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the first match of the day. It's going to be Stats versus Deer, KT versus XTX. We'll see you after a quick break.